Okay, Mike, now it's interesting. You've said that you want to tap into the young people. One of the phrases I keep hearing when I do these interviews in all aspects of sport or gambling, whatever, is skin in the game. Even owning a top greyhound, is not something that an everyday sort of person can do if you're buying a quality. So, is sort of like syndication and micro share clubs, which has been quite popular in horse racing, is that something that you'd be sort of interested in supporting people sort of starting up?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the biggest things for young people to get involved, and certainly newbies into the sport, is through a syndicate. Syndicates are run through every track, and so multiple trainers run syndicates, and it's a great way to get involved. So we're fully behind anything to do with owning greyhounds and getting involved, and at very small cost. And I see some of the bigger social influencers now in racing are getting involved with greyhounds as well. And so again, the bigger the message and the more widespread the message, more people involved is great for the sport.
I know I know it's how long's a piece of string, but how often would a greyhound run typically?
Okay, so they normally run. They'd hit the track at about 16 to 18 months, and then they usually go on for 2.5 years, maybe till 4.5. I've seen greyhounds running till 5 or 6, but typically for about a couple of years that they're at their peak. And so the best thing with greyhound racing is that you've got graded racing, so you can go down the grades as in same as horse racing, and you'll always get a competitive race against greyhounds of your calibre. So if you do get older, a bit slower, there's always a race there. And greyhounds only run if they want to. You can't get a greyhound to run. So therefore, if they've had enough and they want to put their feet up on the sofa, they'll let you know.
And how regularly? Every sort of 3 weeks, every month?
Every week a greyhound runs, yeah. So typically every week.
Now, you've owned greyhounds all your adult life.
Yeah.
Has betting ever been a part of your sporting life, owning greyhounds?
I think it goes a bit hand in hand. You've always got an eye on, not even if it's the odds, it's what chance have you got of winning today. And you get to know your greyhounds. Greyhounds are very reliable animals for providing a consistent approach to how fast they're going to run in a race. So you then can gauge very easily one dog against another, or a dog that's been in a similar race before against the time your greyhound's done. So understanding that and the betting concept with it, you're putting your wits and what you can see. All the greyhound races are available now on video, so you can pit your wits very easily against a bookie. So they've always been hand in hand with me. I've always picked my bets and made sure that I think, okay, I fancy it. It might not win, obviously, but I fancy it because of a various number of factors, and it's a very, very easy way of analysing and pitting your wits against a bookie.
So the old betting shop stories of a bucket of water and a thing of sausages before racing, that's all just...
Oh, hullabaloo, you know. I wish I could tell you all the stories I hear, and what's that dog done on parade or whatever, you know. Okay, yeah, that's absolute baloney.
Now, you've said in this interview already, and the other ones that I've listened to, is a common topic with you that betting on greyhound racing needs to be sort of encouraged more. So what sort of plans, if any, at the moment do you have to encourage people to bet on the sport?
So responsible gambling is always the mantra for me. So greyhound racing is a very good medium for responsible gambling in terms of understanding what you're betting on and why you're betting on it. So how are we going to promote that? We've got to get more people involved with the product and making the betting proposition much more available and visible. If you ever go to a greyhound track, you get handed a race card, and the race card's got a lot of statistics on it, a lot of numbers, which to the average race goer, the first timer particularly, wouldn't have a clue. So you've got to really make it very clear and simple for the average punter. That's why you hear a lot of people go to dogs and say, oh, I took the best name, or my son's name's got that, or whatever it may be in that respect. But to make the punting proposition more available, you've got to make sure it's more simple. So we've got a job on our hands, I think, to make a simpler version of betting out to a wider betting community.
Okay, so I mean, everybody sees greyhound racing going on round the clock pretty much if they're betting shop punters. So you mean specifically people that come in racing for the first time, enjoying the sport from the live atmosphere.
Yeah, that's the first aspect. I always think you've got three different types of punter. You've got the punter who just goes to the track first time for a social day out, who really just wants a pointer in the right direction. You've got the punter who's very, very serious, who wants to study all the form, make sure they do a proper analysis and then make a selection for a bet. And then you've got the other people who are yes, interested, but might be there for a party type atmosphere, so wants to be competitive amongst their mates. So they want to have a bet, but they also want to say how good they are over their friends. And so I want to make that section of the audience really interactive at tracks, so they can see, okay, there's a bit of a banter situation going on between people based on their opinions on something that they would see simply, rather than having to read a whole race card.
Okay, now talking about banter, I don't think people would disagree with me if I said one of the biggest personalities connected with Greyhound Racing would be Harry Findlay.
Absolutely.
And he's been a big advocate of this 10% tote pool. I don't want to put dampeners on it, but traditionally, English, British people they haven't, as much as people try, they haven't really got involved with the tote. So do you think that is a definite runner? And if so, what would you do differently to try and promote that's not been done before, to try and promote totes?
I wouldn't be thinking it's a definite runner if I wasn't promoting it as heavily for Towcester. We've got Towcester, we're running Towcester racetrack now. We've implemented a 10% tote and we're fully committed to it for the Greyhound Derby. So we've got to try and demonstrate that why a tote would work by getting people to the track to bet on it, but also getting people remotely to bet on it. And that whole aspect of pool betting that was very popular back in the 50s and 60s because people could see fairness in it. They knew how much was being deducted, and they could see that they were going to have a price that they could not be influenced so much with money. It's simply because the liabilities are spread across the whole pool. So getting that popular again, I can only start to do through the Derby. It's the biggest platform, and I wouldn't if I didn't believe in it, I wouldn't be doing it. Okay, now that leads me nicely on to your plans for Towcester, outside, well, with the Greyhounds and without the Greyhounds. So can you give us an idea of that? Sure. Towcester as a site, I think we need to make it the jewel in the crown for Greyhound Racing. So Greyhound Racing and the most prestigious races, I think, have to have a home. And what better home than a fantastic stadium and a fantastic racecourse to have it at? The facilities at Towcester dictate that it shouldn't be a Greyhound Racing stadium exclusively. It is much, much more than that. The whole site is very open to festivals, carnivals, business meetings, conferences. But Greyhound Racing provides a steady platform every week to get a decent crowd in there who are attracted to Greyhound Racing because of the facilities and also the racing. So the whole plan for Towcester is to make it a multi-purpose venue with Greyhound Racing being a part of that. Now, I listened to one of the podcasts you did, you said all that, and I was getting quite chirpy for a bit, and then I was absolutely dismayed because you said you don't have any plans at all to revive the very famous and very unique National Hunt racecourse that is still there, and could it quite easily be brought back? I mean, AP McCoy rode his 4,000th winner there. You can have the racing in the afternoon and then the grounds. I mean, don't you? Why? Okay, firstly, there's still, I'm going to say again, Bar 4000 is still there. We're still named after the AP 4000th winner. The track itself is still there. Rules racing will dictate that it needs to be heavily upgraded to allow rules racing. That doesn't mean to say that we can't run schooling races, trials and point-to-points. So you are absolutely right, Simon. I won't disappoint you. I think you can have horse racing there of a sort and shared with Greyhound Racing. National Hunt, the fences are still there. Even if you didn't have the fences there, it'd be very easy to put National Hunt temporary fences up, hurdles up, and run those events. It still has all the infrastructure for it. So not dismissing it whatsoever. Rules under racing under rules though, I think is a different story completely. Massive investment required, which I don't think you need to do if you can run the other types of racing. Okay, now you said that the Greyhound Derby needs to have a home, and it's been at Towcester since 2017? Yeah, apart from the little glitch in the middle with Nottingham. Yes. The new ground track at Wolverhampton, which will incorporate racing and Greyhound Racing,
is that going to be a challenge? Are you expecting that there might be internal infighting to try and get the biggest prize at their stadium?
Well, I hope there is, Simon. I really hope there is. There's still another year to go with the Star Sports deal with Towcester Racecourse for the Derby. And I really hope that there'll be more race courses, there'll be more sponsors wanting to step in to support Greyhound racing. And by that time, I hope that we've achieved some of our vision of widening the popularity of Greyhound racing. So I welcome all competition, and if there was, I'd commit for Towcester. If Towcester didn't host a derby, they'd host a very big, extravagant racing festival at a different time of year to support the sport.
Because I heard you say that, but it'd definitely be a different time. You wouldn't go head to head to try and...
There wouldn't be enough greyhounds to run that sort of thing together. You'd have to do it separately.
But you would think that there would be cross-pollination between horse racing and greyhound racing, hopefully from the Wolverhampton, with the investment they put in. Agreed,
and I think there's a few other tracks that could do that too. So as long as we can demonstrate that greyhound racing is a viable product and a viable sport that people want to come and see and bet on and be involved with, and we fully appreciate everything to do with welfare, then there's no reason why other tracks couldn't do the same.
No, just sat here talking to you, your enthusiasm is palpable. I'm hoping it comes across on the interview. And you're obviously very passionate about it, you mean it. So where would you like to see that? Where would you like to be with the sport in 5 years' time?
Well, in 5 years' time, we need to absolutely have to at least maintain the number of tracks we have. We need to increase the popularity of the sport by having more people attend tracks, have it on mainstream TV or broadcast, and it be more in the psyche of the British population, and totally underpin that with our welfare and homing angle. So making sure that everybody understands that how we look after the greyhounds, how well they're looked after, but also that we don't have any homing issues, because there's a queue of people who want to take dogs home for a sofa. And doing all of that will underpin the betting environment, because the more popular a sport is, the more popular it is for betting too. So it all goes hand in hand.
And it'll be like a snowball effect.
Get the momentum. I always tell my team, you get a bit of momentum and it's contagious. You then get more and more momentum. So we're just starting to push the big rock. And if we can get that big rock moving, we then keep on going, keep on innovating with the ideas, keep on promoting. And that's how we get things going.
Okay, final question, and begin that nudge now. You obviously are passionate and love greyhound racing. Sell the sport to the uninitiated.
Okay, if you've never been greyhound racing before, everybody I know who's been for the first time loves it. They say, gosh, firstly I didn't know it was that exciting or that exhilarating, and secondly I didn't know how I'd feel about going to see it. And it all is positive. So if anybody wants to go and have a very good, exciting experience, whether it be for a good meal out or just a night out with their friends, it ticks the box. Whether you can go and see and be educated about greyhounds and see fine athletes in full flow, ticks the box. If you want to see how dogs are well looked after, it ticks the box. So all of those things, as a betting medium, as an entertainment medium, it ticks the box.
Brilliant. Well, you've sold it to me. Mike Davis, thank you very much.
Thank you, Simon.